So I guess I'll start with takeaways. We have a seasoned staff, and we've had most of our salespeople for a long time. And so trying to get our staff to do any kind of training after they did, 10 years of Cardone training and in-store training, it's tough because they seem to think that they know it all, and it makes it difficult. So you try to dig and find ways to train these guys that don't really want to be trained anymore. They just want to do their thing. They think they know it all, and so it makes it tough. But when we went to the training, there was a couple of takeaways, because one, we take most of the management takes like 80% of the phone calls, because our staff really isn't that good on the phone. Even though we've had some of our guys 15, 16 years, 10 years, 12 years. Our newest guys, up until just a few days ago, our newest guys were 2.5, 3 years they've been with us. But even so, they're still really not that great on the phones, and our show ratio is kind of low. So about a year ago, the management started taking 80 to 85% of the phone calls, and our show ratio went way, way, way up. And so when we were in the last training, they were teaching us about the phone training and the trade hook. And the trade hook is huge for me. I really locked into that trade hook because, like they were saying, when you talk about the trade and the transition to the trade hook, you're giving the customer not just a value in the vehicle that you have at your lot, and a reason to come to you because of the vehicle you have or the rapport that you built with them on the phone. You're also giving them a reason to come to you because you're showing them value in their trade, telling them you have a reason, for something to do with their trade afterwards, a college graduate, a special finance. You're giving them multiple reasons to come to you, which is increasing your closing ratio. So I saw value in the phone training because, again, our staff isn't that great at it. And if I can get the staff to be as good on the phones as the management is, then I can take that off of the management's plate and we can spend all those times that we take phone pops focusing on other things. And we all know we got plenty to do as managers. We are always spread thin, and we're always fighting to get everything done at the end of the day. There's not enough hours in the day. And so I see a huge value in the phone training, and so we spent an entire month doing the phone training. And it got, in the beginning, they tried to fight us on it, and it slowly got to the point where they were enjoying the training, and they were getting good at it. I noticed the reason they were fighting is because they were no good at it. As they started getting more comfortable with the script, as they started getting more comfortable with the transition and the wording, we didn't change anything on it. We did it exactly the way it is. They wanted to try to change it to themselves, their own way and stuff, to be more comfortable. But the reality is I want them to master the script before they start trying to change it to their own way. Because if you start trying to change it before you really have it down, you're going to end up messing it up. It's not going to be the same. It's not going to have the same value. And when they started getting, an understanding of the script and getting it better, they started coming straight to the meeting, sitting down, ready to go, volunteering to be the salesperson. It was a good feeling. It's something I didn't expect having a seasoned staff, because they fight us so much on training. So huge value in the training, in the phone scripts. We did it for an entire month. Towards the end, they started getting really good at it. I feel a little more comfortable with them taking the phone calls. Some of them are changing it up just a little bit to be more comfortable with it, but I hear so much of the phone script in there, and I hear him talking about the trades and the transitions. I hear him doing the oops, my name is, and it's good. I like what they're doing. And so after a month, I was happy with it. So then we started trying to figure out what's the next step on the phone training, because we have more training every month, every day we have training. And we decided the next big thing would be keep them on the phones. Keep them on the phones, and keep them training on the phones, and keep them good on the phones, because in this industry, there's so many customers shopping on the internet, shopping on social media. They have their phones in their hands, shopping for cars. There's not near as many people just driving into the lot that there used to be. And so we see huge value on teaching this staff those phones and every aspect of it. The next aspect for us was leaving the messages. The customers that didn't buy the day they came in, or they didn't come in after the first phone call. And so this next entire month, we're focusing on leaving the messages and follow up on residual customers that didn't buy, didn't come in the first time, customers that did buy, but doing the next day follow-up, the 3-day follow-up, the 1-month follow-up, we're trying to, you know, kind of incorporate all of that into getting on that phone and getting back on the line with those customers. And it's ironic, but we're 5-6 days into the training, and a salesperson from Dodge comes down to pick up a van at noon when we have an appointment with the customer at noon. So we do a little research because we're in this training right now and we want to know, why did we lose this car deal to our Dodge store? What happened? After doing a little bit of research on it, we find out that this customer came into our dealership and drove that van. And there was an issue with the van. They asked the salesperson if they could get the issue done, call him back, and get him back in to re-see it once the issue's done. That salesperson logged him in their system and never did another thing with it. So the van didn't get fixed and the customer didn't get called back. No follow-up. And this happens just a few days after we start the follow-up training. So then the customer comes back again to the dealership, drives another van, and the detail department didn't dry it out enough afterwards, and so it was kind of stinky inside. So he asked, get it detailed out again, call me back, we'll come back and see it. Lo and behold, it didn't happen.
Same salesperson?
Different salesperson, believe it or not. So he puts in a Facebook note, hey, I guess these guys don't have phones because nobody can seem to call me back. Management sees it now. Now we're aware of it. Because you know what we're not doing? We're not monitoring their kiosk well enough as managers. And this is the realization for us. So we see the Facebook post, we get on the phone as a manager, we get them scheduled up, we've got them scheduled to come in. We fix the one car that has the issue, we detail the other car that's stinky, so now we have 2 good, ready-to-go cars to show this customer. But Dodge, one of the service guys gets on Facebook, puts in a little, hey, you know, me and my brother, we work at Dodge, if you guys ever need anything, you know, give us a call, come in and see us, shout out. The customer that we are working with happens to know one of the people on the link of this service guy at Dodge. So he's like, wait, I was just getting ready to go into Kia and look at this band again, which would be the 3rd time, and I don't necessarily want to go there because they never called me, right? So he calls the Dodge service guy calls him right back, does his call, gets a salesperson involved, and that customer goes there and buys that car at noon, the car we had the appointment on at noon. But the thing is we had plenty of opportunity. We had plenty of chances, and we blew it because our follow-up is junk. And that's, even as senior salespeople who think that they're the best in the world, they're not. They've got things that they can learn, and we figured it out. But ironically, it happens a couple days after we start training it. So we know that the phones, there's money there. We don't need to spend more advertising dollars. We don't need to advertise in more places. We just need to do a better job with what we have. And we understand that. So my takeaways is what I learned in the last training. And we're going to train this for the entire month. We know that from doing 10 years of Cardone training, that one day of training and not doing anything with it, it's not doing you any good. Because you're not going to retain it. When you have a conference call or a phone call or a meeting, you retain, what, 5-10% of what you're hearing? So when we're having these trainings, if we only do train on something for a week, we realize there's just not going to be a whole lot retained. So we're going to train on each thing for an entire month to make sure that it's locked into their brains and they get better at it. Like the phone training, like the follow-up training. If we can get better at this, we can make more money and make more car deals without having to do anything else. So that's where our focus is at. Some of the positives, we've figured out what we can do better. And one big positive for us is, well, like I said, we've had our salespeople for a long time, and we're seasoned. But they've seen the value. When I can't ever remember anybody coming back from a Cardone training that we know all as a staff that we did for 10 years. Not one time did anybody come back from the Cardone training and say, wow, that was amazing, we should go again, let's do that again. But in this training, every one of my salespeople came back excited about the training, pumped up on the training, felt like it was good training, felt like there was value in the training. And so it made it easy because we're training the same thing at the store. So the guys that hadn't gone to the training yet, they were fighting us on the training. Everybody that had saw the value. Now everybody's trained up in the store by you guys, and everybody sees the value in the training because they enjoyed the training. They liked how there was, step by step. They knew exactly what was going to happen throughout the day. It changed constantly, and they were able to follow along. And so they weren't just sitting there bored for 8 hours not knowing what was going to happen. So we appreciate that. And it's gone a long ways, and it's helped my training at the store. It's the reason that I'm staying on your guys' training, because they're susceptible to it, and it's going to help. The big thing for us, for the first time in a long time, we're growing. And we opened up we have another store where we're carrying more inventory, we're selling more cars, we have more customers coming in, and we need a bigger staff for the first time in a long time. So we hired 2 green pea salespeople for the first time in ages. And in the past, those salespeople would have been, okay, get on the computer, get trained up on your product, now go out there and fight with the sharks. And that's what would happen. No preparation, just tossed them in the middle of the ocean with nothing to defend themselves and no way to defend themselves. That's what would happen. But now, we have daily training every single morning, Monday through Thursday at 8:30 in the morning, because our salespeople work a bell shift 2 days a week. And so by having it 8:30 in the morning, everybody's there. Nobody's had the chance to call in up or do anything. Everybody has to be there on time, and they're in the meeting. So every single morning, 8:30, we go into the room and we do our training. It's 30 minutes, because any shorter, we can't get enough out. Because as managers, we involve ourselves and we do about 15 minutes of training on the subject, and then we do about 15 minutes of role play. Because in the training we went to, the role play was huge for me. Listening is one thing, but I only get a little bit out of it. I don't retain a whole lot. But when we were role playing, I'm having to use this stuff, I'm gonna have to say it, back. That role playing is what allowed me to learn so much in there. So we do 15 minutes of training, 15 minutes of role play, it's 30 minutes every day. These guys know that at the end of the 30 minutes, they can get up and walk out, because it's not gonna be more than 30 minutes. But they also know it's not gonna be a second less than 30 minutes. If we get to the end and we have a few minutes left, then we talk about the training and what we're learning and how we can get better. And we talk to the guys and ask them, what can we do for you? But the best part about this training is the fact that we have 2 new green peas now, and we're going to be training every single day. And these guys, they're not going to be dropped in the middle of the ocean to defend themselves. They're going to have the training they need to get better and to move up and to grow. We haven't needed that for a long time, but we need it now, and it's perfect that we're actually doing this, and we have a stable training environment every single day, and they know exactly what they're doing. So there's no question about it. They're ready for it.
Thank you. Well, we've got, we're 13 minutes in. We got a couple minutes for questions.
Any challenges besides having veterans that were not excited about the training?
In the beginning, there was challenges, because these guys, they would come to work, they'd unlock the lot, they'd get the car, the lot dialed in and stuff. That was their process. So there was a little bit of challenge there in the beginning, because they were fighting that morning routine. So I scheduled lot attendants in at 8:30 instead of 9. So now the lot attendants come in, unlock the lot, dial in the lot, so that these guys can go in and do their training. So we did this for a little over a month. We had the lot attendants dialing the lot, unlocking. So they're like, okay, I don't have to go out and unlock. I don't have to dial in the lot. Sure, I'll do training. It made it a lot easier. Then our morning lot attendant, we promoted into our detail manager. So then we didn't have the morning lot attendant. You know what these guys did? They came in, they did their training, and then they go out and unlock. And they don't complain anymore, because they didn't have to for a long time. The training became the habit. And so now they just go out and unlock afterwards. Sometimes, some days, the lot attendants are there and they're helping, or they have it done. Some of my guys have came in and unlocked before we even did the training. So I'm pulling in at 8:20, 8:25, clocking in, and these guys are already out on the lot, unlocking before our training. But it had to become habit, and what became habit was scheduling that lot attendant for that full month to take care of it while they made the training habit. So that was a big, tough thing. Some of the guys still feel like they know more than us, and we're working through that.
Some of them might.
It's possible, right? Absolutely. You know what? They're out there every day, taking the calls and taking the ups. Some of them may. Absolutely.
I got a question for you. When the managers are answering the telephone,
Yeah.
how do you pass those leads out? Is there a round robin system, or is there just
We really just do it like, one, if we know it's going to be a tough customer, I get it to one of my top guys. If I take the phone call and I can tell as a manager that it's going to take some work to get them in, I'll get it to one of my top guys. If I take a phone call and I know that it's going to take some time and these customers are going to want a ton of information and it's going to pull a salesperson off the line for a while, I take it to an internet manager, because they're on the phones anyways all the time and on the computer, and they can handle it. But most of the time, we do it as an up system, just like taking it up. if they see us take a phone call, they come running. And so it keeps them aggressive. I want aggressive staff. See, I'm never afraid of aggressive staff, because if you have a staff that's complacent, you're gonna have a staff that's gonna sell you the same amount of cars every month or less. I want aggressive all the time. And so when they call ups, man, they have to call the up to get the up. When we take a phone pop, they have to call the phone pop to get the phone pop. These guys will come in and check my phone to see if there's any messages. If I was out doing lot work and they think I may have missed a sales call, to stand right there and make me check my messages just in case it's a phone call so they can get it. It's created a very aggressive staff that sells us more cars. So.
Well, we need to move on. Let's give them a hand. How's that sound?